Hello, I am Laura Davis, a time management strategist who works with high achieving working moms just like you to ditch the hot mess and level up your work life balance using a simple and proven time management framework. I truly believe, friend, that you deserve to have it all and that you can have it all, especially as a mom. And before we get started today, head over to thelauraddavis.com/work week to grab my free Master Your Work Week challenge, where you will learn how to master your work week, get your to-do list done, and create a work-life balance that you absolutely love. Now, let's dive into today's episode because it is definitely juicy and you're going to get a lot out of today's episode. And you're going to hear a couple of stories and real life examples from me. So today we're going to cover a really important topic about why to-do lists and making a to-do list is only the first half of the equation. And I love a good to-do list. I think we all love to-do lists, right? And they're really effective, but they're only half of the equation. And I want you to think about something. I want to ask you if you ever feel like you are constantly running out of hours in your day, despite having a to-do list that is like a mile and a half long, right? Maybe you jot down all of your tasks, you organize them, and yet by the end of the week, it seems like nothing has actually gotten done. And sometimes it's almost like every time you mark off something, you do a check mark next to a task and you get that dopamine hit, then you remember that you have 3 more things that you need to add to your to-do list. And that can be a really frustrating cycle to be in every single week. And like I said, making a to-do list is amazing. I love to-do lists. I love color coding my lists. I love organizing my to-do list. It is a fantastic first step. And you get that dopamine hit every time you cross something off. But there is a missing piece to your to-do list that is going to take it to the next level to help you get even more done faster and with a lot less stress. And that's something that we all want as working moms, right? And I remember this one really specific story, and I feel like you're probably going to be able to relate to this. But whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I like to do a brain dump. And this is actually like a secret tip for you in this episode, is that whenever you are feeling overwhelmed and like you have a ton of to-dos just, playing ping pong in your brain, do a brain dump. And that is just where you just take a piece of paper, a notebook. If you're watching this video, I have notebooks all over the place. Just take a notebook and do a brain dump list and take everything in no rhyme or reason order and write it down. Get it out of your head and write it down. And this is actually a really wonderful exercise to do anytime overwhelm is starting to creep in. And I remember very specifically this one time I was sitting in Starbucks because I love Starbucks. I love to work there. I get a ton done being around a lot of other energy, but I could feel it starting. That just really subtle hint of overwhelm. My palms started to sweat a little bit. I was fidgeting with my notebook and my pen, and I kept like flipping papers and clicking my pen. And there was a Word document in front of me on my laptop, and it was just blank. And I was staring at it. And I knew that that blank document needed to become an insights report for my corporate job. That was the big thing that needed to get done that day, but I couldn't stop thinking about all of the other things that needed to be done at home, in business, with Harper, with my own life, car, all of that kind of stuff, laundry, dishes, all of that. And so I did a brain dump and I was like, okay, let me just get this all out of my brain and then I'll be able to focus on my project. And I felt so much better after the brain dump. I really did. And I was able to finish crafting that draft of the insights report. However, the next morning I woke up, and the best analogy I can think of is that I felt like I was punched in the face by my to-do list. And I say that because absolutely nothing from that to-do list, that brain dump list that I had done, was checked off. Nothing was checked off. And I had thought of 2 more things that I needed to add to that list. And so that day I was able to get a couple of things done. But by Thursday, I felt like I had this always growing, never ending to do list of things that I had to get done. And I just couldn't seem to make any progress. The list just never seemed to get shorter, no matter how much I felt like I was doing or how busy I felt like I was. And that moment at Starbucks, those couple of days after Starbucks were pivotal for me. It is when I realized that a to do list is only half of the equation. And we're going to talk more about this in just a minute, but your to do list, making your to do list, is only half of the equation. It's only the first half. So after this week that happened a couple of years ago, I, no longer had and have a love-hate relationship with my to-do list. And maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you absolutely love your to-do list, but you also hate it because it is a reminder of everything that you have to get done. But now with my to-do list, it is all love. I absolutely love my to-do list. I see it as a tool. I understand how to leverage it. I know how to make my to-do list work for me instead of against me. And it's no longer something that I dread to look at. And in fact, most weeks, I don't even make a to-do list anymore because of what I'm about to share. I've actually been able to get rid of to-do lists for the most part. There are definitely still super busy times that I will pull out a to-do list and I will do a brain dump and create a to-do list. But for the most part now, I no longer work from a list. It is all built into this system. So before I get into that second half of the equation, that's literally going to change your life with your to-do list. This is a really good episode because it's literally going to change your life. I want to give you a couple of tips on how to create an effective to-do list when you are using them. And so the first tip that I want to give you is to use a format of a to-do list that you will stick with. So whatever Susie or Sandra or Justine or whoever are doing over here, you need to do a to-do list, or you need to create a to-do list in a format that will work for you. So whether that is pen and paper, if that is your phone app, if that is, like your notes app on your phone, if it's Evernote, if it's a physical whiteboard that you have in your kitchen or in your living room or by your front door, whatever your method for a to-do list is, that is the correct method for you. It is whatever format and method you are going to stick with. The second tip for you is to share the list with your family. And I wish I had actually grabbed this before I started recording because my friend Amelia got me this really nice glass whiteboard for the kitchen, and it's propped up on like a little easel. And I wrote out a few things that I wanted to remember to get done this week because I hadn't put them into this second half of this equation that I'm giving you yet. So I had them written out on this whiteboard. And Zach walked by and he was like, "Oh, I can take care of Harper's laundry for us." So because it was in front of his face and he saw it written out, he was like, "Oh, I can handle this." So share your to-do list with your family. And I would even say and suggest to allow everyone in the family to pick 1 to 2 things that they can own off of that list. And of course, make sure that they are age appropriate items for your kids. But this is a really great way to have everyone in the house share responsibility of the to-do list. Also, I mentioned earlier that I really like to color code things and organize them and categorize them. So I do recommend keeping a separate work, business, and personal list. So maybe if you do a brain dump and you combine all of those different things, make sure that you take that brain dump and you organize them by personal to-dos, work to-dos, and business to-dos if you have a side business as well. This is really going to help you stay focused on different areas of your life. This way, you're also not context switching a lot between like trying to get your to-do list done from your corporate job and from your business and your personal life all at the same time. You keep them very separate. And then finally, the fourth tip is to make your to-do list only once a week, maybe twice a week, but really try to stick to a to-do list once a week. And the reason that I say this is because I'm sure you have felt this, and I was sharing this in my story earlier, but we get into this habit of creating a to-do list and then we're continuously adding things to the bottom of it, right? So as you're marking something off, maybe you're thinking of 3 more tasks that you need to get done. Instead, create a to-do list. Let's say like every Sunday or Monday. Let's start there. Create the to-do list for that week, but don't continue adding to your to-do list. If you think of things throughout the week, unless they absolutely have to get done that week, put them on the to-do list for the following week. And that way you're not overwhelming yourself with thinking that everything has to get done this exact week. All right, so let's jump into the second half of the equation for your to-do list. And this is really what I would say is the critical step to planning your week and planning out your to-do list. And again, like I said, to-do lists are so helpful. I highly encourage them. I think there is a false myth out there that I don't like pen and paper, or I don't like lists. I encourage you to make lists. I encourage you to use pen and paper to make a to-do list. But again, let's talk about the critical missing piece to actually getting your to-do list done. And this is creating a strategy to fit each task from your to-do list into your weekly schedule so that it becomes actionable. And so what does this do? This really helps you plan ahead of when you're going to get something done from your to-do list. And it also takes the stress of the unexpected off of your plate. So if you have a list of 10 things that you want to get done in a week, but you don't know exactly when you're going to get them done, your brain is humming in the background, trying to constantly figure out where you can fit in these tasks. Even if you don't realize that you're consciously doing it, it's something that your brain is doing in the background, and it's actually wasting a lot of energy and a lot of brain expenditure that you could be spending on focusing on what you're doing at that moment. And so this allows you to have a much smoother, a much more productive week. And you can also see that if you have 50 things on your to-do list, you probably can't fit 50 things into your schedule. So maybe you can move some of those things into a future week. So it really helps you look at your capacity as well. And I will say that if these tips and this 2-piece equation to-do lists helped you and you're resonating with this and you're like, okay, this sounds like exactly what I need. How do I put this into practice? That is exactly what Master Your Work Week Challenge does for you. It is a free 5-day challenge, quick videos every morning, delivered right to your inbox. They are less than 15 minutes every single day. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how to put those 2 pieces of the to-do list equation together so that you have a successful week and you can get the most check marks off of on your to-do list and get the most done without being stressed or without being overwhelmed. And so if you want to sign up for the Master Your Work Week Challenge, you can go to thelauraddavis.com/workweek. And I would love to see you in there. Let me know what you think of this episode. If these tips are helpful for you, reach out to me on Instagram, it's.laura.davis, or you are welcome to leave a comment below this video. And I can't wait to hear from you.